I know we say this a lot at Mary Trump Media, but it bears repeating. Donald Trump is not now, and he never has been, cognitively well enough to lead anything, let alone this country. This was never more apparent than earlier today. At a so called bill signing ceremony in the East Room, Donald took to the stage to tout his big new, albeit completely fake, accomplishment. Take a look.
Please sit down. Thank you very much. This is good news indeed. People said it couldn't be done. You got it done. I just have to sign, right? That's very good. This is really something. And it has to do with the California Auto Regulation, CRA. It's been a disaster for this country. And I want to thank everybody for being here. We officially rescue the U.S. auto industry from destruction by terminating the California electric vehicle mandate once and for all. And I want to congratulate you all. The Senate, the House, the whole thing. It's incredible. I was going to sign a executive order and give it a shot. But the one good thing with this, number one, it holds up forever. And number two, unless somebody votes it out, they'll never do that. And it's just so much better, huh? It's so much better. That's so great. Very proud of you.
So proud. Let's just take a second here. The White House schedule said that this would be a bill signing ceremony, but Donald did not sign a bill. He signed something called a Congressional Review Act, which is a legally dubious resolution. And the point of it is to try to kill California's clean car rules, even though nonpartisan legal experts warned him that CRAs are only enforceable for federal policies. But obviously, I mean, we know that after decades of claiming states' rights, states' rights, states' rights, when they want to push through their racist policies, things like, killing this Voting Rights Act, for example, now apparently state sovereignty is irrelevant. I have one question though. How is preventing a state from doing something that will help the state have a better, cleaner environment? How does that save the rest of the country? Anyway, since the CRAs don't apply to state policies, Donald cannot legally block California's clean car rules. The nonpartisan GAO and Senate parliamentarian have both said this move has no legal force whatsoever. This is just another bit of kabuki theater by Donald. It's a blatant, likely illegal attempt to gut environmental protections and reward big oil, which is really one of the only things he's good at. And California's been vocal for well over a month about its intention to sue the Trump regime over this measure. I'm beginning to think that what has been happening with these executive orders and these so-called bill signings, that this is all in service to helping Donald think that he's actually doing something, like helping him think that he's actually in charge of something. I mean, there was a bit of a tell there. He said, good job. You guys really got this thing done. And he laughed and he said, I didn't do anything. I'm just signing it. Yes, that's my point. You're not really doing anything except signing off on other people's dark vision for America. It reminds me a lot of when my grandfather was deep into his Alzheimer's. He went to his Brooklyn office every single day except Sunday. They dressed him up in his three-piece suit, put him in a chauffeur-driven limousine, sat him up behind his desk, and then put a pile of blank pieces of paper in front of him, which he then proceeded to sign. He actually thought he was doing something. He thought he was accomplishing something. He still thought he was running the world. Guess what? He wasn't. And Donald's not either. Of course, Donald usually starts out, and this is a relative, okay, relative to his usual unhinged insanity. He usually starts out okay, and then he just gets increasingly unhinged. Once again, he took on his biggest foe. I can't blame him entirely because I think all of us are a little bit afraid of this particular enemy that I think it keeps Donald up at night. Yes, of course, I am talking. I am talking about windmills.
The windmills are killing our country, by the way. The fields are littered with them, junk. They're littered with them. And they get older and they get rusty and they get bad and they get. This is other countries also. It's the greatest scam in history. It's the most expensive energy you can buy. They don't look alike and they're not painted alike, different colors. You have, even if they're white, one's a beigey white, one's a darker white, one's a lighter white. And then they start to rust after 4 or 5 years. What bullshit this is, okay? They can't buy. So what they do is they leave them up. If you go to Palm Springs, California, take a look. You go into this beautiful community. Before you go, it's like you're riding through a junkyard. Windmills all over the place. Tall ones, short ones, dead ones. They're all dead. Some are hanging over by a thread. They never take them down. They just leave them there and they start to rust. It's one of the greatest scams, and it's also the most expensive energy.
Oh, sorry. I was riveted. Tall ones, short ones, big ones, small ones. Some are dead. Some are hanging by a thread. Oh my God. It's like dystopian Dr. Seuss, for God's sakes. What is happening? That crowd looked riveted, though. Riveted, which is to say, horrified, because it's horrifying. Nothing he said was true, but I am actually beginning. I think I have a solution to this problem. We might have a job that Donald can do. I think somebody should put him in charge of naming paint colors. White, off-white, beigey white. I think he's got a knack for it. So I think we need to put together a petition. Save the windmills. Give Donald a job, putting him in charge of naming paint colors. A respectable profession. All right, first of all, I can't believe I have to repeat this so many times, but it must be done. Wind energy is incredibly cost effective. I mean, it may seem counterintuitive because if you look at a windmill, this incredibly complex piece of equipment versus, I don't know, a nuclear reactor, obviously it seems like the windmill would be much more expensive, right? Wrong. I'm being sarcastic. But don't take my word for it. This is what the United States Department of Energy had to say about wind power. Quote, wind power is cost effective. Land-based utility-scale wind turbines provide some of the lowest price energy sources available today. Furthermore, wind energy's cost competitiveness continues to improve with advances in the science and technology of wind energy, unquote. Yes. Also, you know what it is? Unlike coal, it's clean. Not coal, Donald. Wind. But who knows what goes on inside that little head of his? I can only imagine, and I'd have to imagine because I don't know that we've ever had a human being have a negative, disturbing, life-threatening experience with a windmill, but maybe Donald has. Anyway, before we go on, please just remember that we here at Mary Trump Media are not corporate media. We don't bend the knee. We are not now, and we never will be for sale. Every day, we expose the lies the Trump regime tells and wants to keep buried. Independent media survives because of you. So please like and share our videos. And if you support our mission, subscribe to our channel. Donald has unraveled so significantly by now that he has begun inadvertently bashing his own policies without even realizing it, probably because on the one hand, he's really had little or nothing to do with crafting those policies, and two, he wouldn't remember them even if he had. Take a look at this response when he's asked about farmers who are struggling to function without an immigrant workforce.
Our farmers are being hurt badly by, they have very good workers. They've worked for them for 20 years. They're not citizens, but they've turned out to be, great. And we're going to have to do something about that. We can't take farmers and take all their people and send them back because they don't have maybe what they're supposed to have, maybe not. And you know what's going to happen and what is happening? They get rid of some of the people because, you go into a farm and you look and people they've been there for 20, 25 years and they've worked great and the owner of the farm loves them and everything else. And then you're supposed to throw them out. And you know what happens? They end up hiring the people, the criminals that have come in, the murderers from prisons and everything else. So we're going to have an order on that pretty soon, I think. We can't do that to our farmers. And leisure, too, hotels. We're going to have to use a lot of common sense on that.
Oh, well, if we're waiting for you to use common sense, we're deeply screwed here. But okay, we can't do this to our farmers. We can't do this to the leisure industry. You're doing it. You are doing it. You ran on this. So let's get this straight. Donald is now saying that we can't screw over farmers by taking all of their workers and deporting them because farmers are hurting badly. And then he's saying that because of the deportation of the so-called good people, farmers now have to rely upon hiring criminals and murderers. Is that how that works? All right, Donald, again, you are responsible for these deportations. You are the one deporting the workers at these farms. Now, there was supposed to be a carve out because so many farms are in red states. You weren't supposed to deport their workers, remember? Because you don't want to piss off your base. But we've seen the videos now. All month, ICE raids have been performed directly at farms, carried out by the Trump regime. Take a look at ABC7's video of these raids.
ICE agents arrived at the field you see behind me earlier this morning. In fact, according to a couple of farm workers we had a chance to talk to, ICE agents arrived right around 6 o'clock this morning. Cell phone video that was posted online right after the raid show ICE agents chasing after some of the workers. ICE hasn't said how many people they detained at this raid earlier today. The agriculture industry in Ventura County is a $2 billion a year industry. That's billion with the B. So raids like this could have a significant impact on what's planted and picked here.
Congratulations, everybody. Your tax dollars at work. Couple of guys in ICE uniforms just chasing down a man whose crime seems to be trying to pick strawberries. Awesome. Now, Donald doesn't even seem to understand his policies or the impacts on them anymore. I'm not even sure what he's talking about. I'm pretty sure he doesn't know what he's talking about. But I would hope at least whether he's making sense or not. The truth of the matter is his agency is going after all immigrants. During the campaign, when he said they were only going to go after the worst of the worst and the criminals and the people let out of the insane asylums, he was lying to you. We see this now because ICE agents are not trying to infiltrate gangs. They are not looking into the criminal backgrounds of these people. They are staking out farms and Home Depots, places where immigrants come to work, to better their lives, and, by the way, to help us, doing jobs that most Americans wouldn't even deign to do. While Donald's ramping up the illegal deportations and continuing to send a chill down the spine of Americans who care about such things as, I don't know, the rights of other human beings, he's decided to turn his sights on American citizens. He went on to brag about his defeat of ISIS, likening it to how he plans to defeat the protesters in Los Angeles. And that's quite an analogy. Take a look.
The greatest, strongest military. We defeated ISIS. We defeated ISIS. We defeated ISIS in 4 weeks. It was told to be 5 years. It was going to take 5 years, anywhere from 4 to 5 years. We did it in 4 weeks. We have a great country, and we're going to keep it that way. And when it comes to Los Angeles or other cities, if we see other cities are gearing up, and these people are agitators, they're paid, they're professionals, they're insurrectionists, they're troublemakers, they're all of those things. But I believe they're paid, and we're going to find out through Pam Bondi and her great staff, her great people at Justice, who they are. And Mike, I think you're doing some investigations in that in Congress, but we're going to find out who they are, because they're really, I think what they're doing is unbelievably illegal.
I love it when that fucking insurrectionist has the audacity to compare peaceful protesters, American citizens exercising their First Amendment rights, insurrectionists. Wow. I mean, that is just something. So now we're comparing American citizens to members of ISIS. That's what we're doing now. Okay. By the way, I'm pretty sure that this country has been fighting ISIS since 2001. Does that ring a bell to anybody? That year ring a bell? Yeah. So there Donald is taking credit for something that has been decades in the making, to the extent that it's even true. He is bringing up a conspiracy theory to make himself look better, because there are a couple of things going on here. One, the idea that people would voluntarily show up and spend their time and not get paid to stand up for the rights of other people is completely beyond his comprehension. What is also beyond his comprehension is that anybody would protest against him voluntarily because he's so wonderful. Of course they're getting paid. Who could ever have a bad thing to say against Donald Trump? Well, other than, 90% of the country. Oh, and the world. So Donald is both delusional and dangerous. He's conflating ISIS with American citizens, which is about as un-American as it gets. He has no interest in defeating terrorist group. He wants to defeat any American citizen who is willing to go up against him. We've seen this time and time again. He's just casting a wider net now. So the idea that the most un-American, lawless, traitorous president in American history has the platform to continue to go after American citizens exercising rights he's trying to take away from them is a bit of a bridge too far. But he's also a total egomaniac. He's a megalomaniac. And colloquially speaking, he's a massive narcissist. So that is not going to end up redounding to his benefit, because he keeps bragging about things he's not actually accomplished. This time, he's bringing up his popularity on TikTok, which is something that nobody cares about. Take a look.
We won with young people. I just saw with TikTok, I was #1 on TikTok in its history. Can you believe that? So I guess I like TikTok. That's why they're saying, are you saving it? We probably will save TikTok, actually.
Yes, he's saving TikTok because he's #1 on TikTok. Can you believe it? You know what he expected that crowd to say? Because most people would think that's a rhetorical question. He expected that crowd to say, of course we can believe it, because you're Donald Trump. Who else could possibly be #1 on TikTok? By the way, I mean, I don't know much about TikTok. I assume it's like Twitter and you trend, right? I don't think it's very difficult for somebody who has the power and reach of the American president to trend somewhere on social media. But what do I know? But apparently it's because the youth just love him. And if by youth you mean a bunch of whiny white boy incels, yeah, I guess that's probably true. So let's check on, let's do a little fact check it. In April of 2025, Donald's approval rating across multiple polling outlets show that only 34% of Gen Z approve of him, while an overwhelming majority of 59% disapprove of him. So just so he doesn't dismiss this as some rogue pollster, that graph, that chart was compiled from a bunch of polls conducted by Siena College, Harvard, Atlas Intel, Gallup, and YouGov. According to Donald, despite his being the most amazing, all-powerful, most successful leader ever in history, with all of the rights and none of the responsibilities, no, he is not a king.
Several No Kings protests planned across the country on Saturday as well. What are your thoughts on those?
What do they got? No king?
No Kings.
I don't feel like a king. I have to go through hell to get stuff approved. A king would say, I'm not gonna get this. A king would have never had the California mandate to even be talking to him. He wouldn't have to call up Mike Johnson and Thune and say, fellas, you gotta pull this off, and after years we get it done. No, we're not a king. We're not a king at all. Thank you very much.
Sorry, we're not a king, he says, using the royal we. What the? Oh my God. It is just, the lack of self-awareness is just absolutely shocking. And also, by the way, Donald, if you're not a king, then why can't people protest against you? Just asking. So after a day of yet another illegal order, shifting the blame away from himself onto policies that he doesn't even recognize anymore, painting American citizens as terrorists, and rambling on and on about his delusions of grandeur and his alleged internet fame, Donald Trump wants you to know that he's not a king. Well, let me put it this way. Donald Trump says, quote, "We are not a king," unquote. And he still has to work so hard and get so many people to do his bidding by threatening them in order for his authoritarian orders to be carried out. Yeah. It is difficult, I know, to be an imperial president because we don't have the infrastructure that monarchies have for all-powerful rulers. But if Donald and the fascist Republicans have their way, well, someday we will. And it will all be for his benefit. After listening to those clips, though, I would like to think that all right-thinking Americans, people who just, not just who care about American democracy and the future of this country, but people who care about the safety of American citizens, because putting that person in charge, continuing to give him more power, is exactly how we get to a much darker place than the place we're in now. Please take a second and like and share this video. It'd be awesome if you could subscribe to the channel. If you're listening to us in podcast form, please follow us and give the show a 5-star rating because it really does help other people find our content. Thanks.